It's your boy Usmaan back again with another podcast. We've got two familiar faces here, but we've got special guest appearance from Kish. Kish, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Very
Thank
well,
you
thank
for
you.
coming
Buzzing
on.
after last night, man.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. Absolute flipping pleasure having you on. And Manib and Jem, how are you guys doing? Thank you for coming back on again.
We're good. I'm good here.
What were you, Manib? Can Manib hear me? Manib, you there?
Yeah. It's good. It's good to be back.
Okay, well, it's good. It's good to have you, and obviously the audio is a lot better this time, so fingers crossed. As always, drop a like, subscribe, and sure the boys love their stuff will be in the description. Make sure you drop them a follow on their socials. Anyways, let's get into the video. The video is going to be sadly about the Europa League because we're still in there. Fingers crossed, that changes in the coming season, but until it does, we have to obviously react to the news. Boys, what are your thoughts on the draw so far? Kish, we'll come to you first. Have you seen who Man United have got?
I actually haven't. Who have we got?
Okay, so I'll go through the draw for those who haven't seen. We've got another easy draw. I'm not going to lie, I didn't really know much about either team. So, without sounding too arrogant, of course we're through and past last, with all due respect. We have got, I think it's Istanbul and Copenhagen, whoever wins from them two teams. So, basically, one of them two teams. After that game, we either play Olympiacos or Wolves, who are playing each other, or Sevilla and Roma. So we play the winner of them two games. So it might be a bit more difficult in the semi-final. But for me personally, without sounding arrogant, we're already in the semi-final. Kish, after I know it's a one-game basis, anything can happen, but still, I'm not going to lie. Kish, what are your thoughts? So we got Copenhagen or Istanbul?
To be fair, I don't really know much about those two teams, but I'd probably prefer Istanbul. Turkish league is generally lower quality, isn't it? So
yeah,
we should. But I really feel that Oli will probably play our second string squad there. So I know we think we're through, but we got to get the job done. We have to make sure we get the job done. And after I see the second wave, if you like, of Fred, etc., coming on yesterday, they did look a bit kind of. They had a bit of ring rust. I definitely saw that. So if they can improve and make sure they're at the top of their game, I'm confident we'll be all right. We should easily get through that game.
Right. Fair enough. Mini, what are your thoughts? Are you as confident as us two, or got any different opinions?
Well, I'm confident now because I didn't even know there was a team called Istanbul. I thought it was just Galatasaray from. Copenhagen, I knew. Well, they were in the Champions League a few years ago. Played against Chelsea in their 13-14 season or something like that. So they're a bit familiar with the Europe side. So I'd rather face Istanbul, like Kish said, and Copenhagen are a tricky side. But even though Turkish leagues, they might not have the same name, but they're tough to give you a win. They give you a hard time.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was just about to add to that. Yeah, you're definitely right. It's not going to be an easy game, innit? But with the quality we've got, Jem, what do you reckon?
I think it will be. I think before we play either Copenhagen, I think Copenhagen are down. I think when I checked the Turkish team, they were leading the first leg, so I think Copenhagen have to overturn it. So it will be a tough game, but I'm sure we'll go over it. Like you said, I don't want us to be arrogant, but I believe we're already in the semi-finals.
Wow, Jem, we've got that video now. You can't take it back. Nah, to be fair, I think it'll be a tight game. We'll probably win about 5-6-0, but it'll be close, nevertheless.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think the Copenhagen team, they are very good. We have this guy. There's a guy who used to play for Manchester who plays in the Copenhagen team. I think Van Gaal brought him. He was a right back.
Varela.
Is he at Copenhagen?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he plays there.
He's got the assist for one of Russia's first ever goals, man. Never forget.
Yeah. So I hope we beat Copenhagen. It will be a nice game. And I think Oli's the coach for Copenhagen, I think is Oli's former teammate, Solly Ben or something. So it will be a nice Scandinavian game. So
Oh, right, okay. Interesting. Jam's clearly done his research. Obviously, you're from Germany, it also makes more sense. That you know about your country
But
teams.
they were playing around my corner, you know.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
That makes more sense. Obviously.
Danish,
Makes
isn't
sense.
it? It's a Danish club, not.
Oh, the Danish club.
Yeah, Copenhagen's from
Wow,
Denmark,
okay.
man. Oh,
completely.
what's it?
I completely ignore that then. But he said he played around the corner, so he's
because
ignored
it's
me
only
as well.
one. It's only one off. There's no home and away. Just they're
Oh,
going to play in
right,
Germany.
okay, yeah.
So
Oh,
they play
right.
in
You mean
Germany.
as in where they're playing in Germany? Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, definitely. It was definitely that. Okay, let's talk about the Europa League in general, because of course, there are a couple of decent teams still in there. I do think we've got an easy draw in terms of teams. Obviously, there's Inter Milan still available, Roma, Sevilla, Bayer Leverkusen. Of course, Havertz has been massively linked with Chelsea, as we know. He's an unbelievably good player. Obviously, Kish, you kind of alluded to the fact that you think Ollie's going to play a potentially weakened team. I personally don't agree he will.
He will play.
Obviously, we might be in top four, so we might not need the Europa League. But what are your thoughts on that, Manif? Do you agree? Just before we come back to Kish, Manif, do you agree that Ollie might prefer to play a weekend team against Copenhagen or Istanbul?
To be honest, I think it depends on how we finish in the Premier League, and if we secure the top four and get a FA Cup in there, I think he might play not a weekend side but a rotated side. But if we're not in the top four and we still need to win the Europa League to get in the Champions League, then I think it will be the similar team to what we've seen in the last 4 games. So I think we should play a stronger side, but not if we definitely have to.
Yeah,
so I think that's a very good point. Kish, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I completely agree with Manif. I was just going to say, I thought about it, and if we're in a strong position in the league, which is touch and go at the moment, isn't it? So if we're in a stronger position, then why wouldn't we field a kind of rotated squad, as Manif said? But I mean, it's touch and go. Everything's touch and go at the moment, isn't it? We're in this fine kind of point where everything's just so nicely balanced. So we've got to be very careful with our squad selection. I think if we touch on yesterday's game as well, towards the end of it was about the 80th minute, we had Pogba, I think we had Fred and Scott in midfield. That potentially could be a midfield that we might play against we might play for the Europa League. And Fernandes, I don't know about what your opinions are, but I think he's going to need a rest at some point, man.
Yeah, he's definitely going to need rest. Man's going to be burnt out by that time. Jem, obviously, what are your thoughts on the Europa League? Of course, it is situational. If we needed to get Champions League, of course, it does have more relevance. But as a whole, do you still have respect for the competition, and do you actually have some importance to it?
Yeah, of course. It's a way for us to get a trophy. So we have to attach a lot of importance and urgency to it. So I think Oli will play his first team I'm sure by Monday, there will be a ruling on the City issue. Then we know that we are going to Champions. But I'm sure Oli would like to play a strong team so that he wins a runoff. Because if you're going to play a second team, I don't know if in Europa you can make a lot of changes. Because it's just one game. So if you're not careful and just start your strong team, and let's say the results are not going your way, it's difficult for you to change the situation. So I think he will start with a strong team anyway. But I think the only game that he might not start with a strong team will be the game against Lasker at Old Trafford. That's the only game where I think we might see Jesse Lingard playing. Aside that, I'm sure.
Oh my god! To be fair, if you play as a strong team against Lasker, I might just bang my head on the wall repeatedly. We're 5-0 up, man. Come on, you probably could get away with playing the kids literally and still win the game. So I don't think there's any need for him to do that. But I do agree with Cage. There is a potential we could, burn some of the players out. But let's talk about the game yesterday. Of course, we won 3-0. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's the first time any team has won 4 consecutive games by a goal margin of 3.
Ollie in.
I think everyone is Ollie in on this video, which we've not got any Ollie out. See, obviously Benji's I got a clip of Benji saying Ollie in yesterday. Ollie's at the wheel yesterday in his fan cam. Don't worry, I'll clip it. I'll put it in the chat as well.
Man, he's confused.
Yeah, he's changed about 10 times within a couple of weeks. Mini, we'll come to you first. What were your thoughts on yesterday's game?
It was a professional performance, which we haven't seen in since Ole's interim managing matches, which was just turn up, beat the team, get a clean sheet if we can, then move on to the next one. I think this was similar because players, I thought at the first 20 minutes we looked a bit tired, and then the water break came in, and then we went and smashed them. I think the counter-attacking from Greenwood, Marshall was just something that we should have seen earlier on in the season, but because of certain players not being there, we couldn't. So I think it's a positive result, good performance, nice to get a clean sheet, and it's a positive boost, and everything's going to be okay from now if we just copy the same footprint.
Yeah, I think obviously the most important thing is the consistency in terms of team selection. Kish, what were your thoughts on yesterday's performance?
Do you know what? I think Munib described it very well with the word professional. Because, I know it sounds very cliche, lads, but look, there's going to be occasions where we're not firing on all cylinders. And yesterday, I really got that kind of feeling that we weren't firing on all cylinders. Maybe it's down to tiredness or whatever it may be, but we won the game not having played about 40 minutes of that game very well. And I'd say actually the majority of our starting 11 yesterday didn't have great games, but we had about 3 or 4 players that kind of pulled us through, because we've got that class and that quality about us. So yeah, good display in terms of professionalism, in terms of not playing as well as we should, but we still got the victory. So and I can actually finally, right? I mean, I've thought this for a while now, but yesterday was a game that I looked at and I thought, do you know what? I can actually see our style of play. I can see how we look to build up things. Whether it's down the flank, whether it's on the counter. So we've got multiple options now to be a threat. Whereas maybe last year or even just previously in this season, we kind of looked a bit lackluster. If we didn't hit teams on the counter, there wasn't many other options after that. But now we've got an array of things. So we can go down the flanks. We can go through the middle if we want to. We can hit them on the break. So yeah, very, very quite pleased. Generally, man, a win's a win at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly. At the business end of the season, we need the 3 points. I think that's a good point that you made regarding the variations of attack. I don't want to use the word philosophy, but methods in which we are trying to break down teams. In previous, I think it's prior to Bruno's arrival. To be fair, everyone would say we're a counter-attacking team, and I don't think any United fan would disagree with that. We were fantastic on the break, but you saw teams that allowed us to have the ball. We seemed to suffer in terms of breaking them down and getting those draws into wins, which is obviously what happened early in the season. Jem, just coming back to the performance, obviously. I feel like this performance, to me, signified the essence of being a good team in terms of you're not playing at your best, you got the job done, and you're showing your quality when it matters. But what were your thoughts regarding the start to the game? Because it was very similar to Bournemouth for me personally. We were very slow at the blocks.
Yeah, I don't want to jump. I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but we play like champions, because sometimes the games is difficult, but you have to grind the results and get it. Like what Mohin said, it was a professional performance. Like you rightly said, I think the Portsmouth game was difficult. And I realized this Villa game will be very, very difficult because if you analyze the game carefully, Villa had taken the whole of the midfield for the first 25 minutes. And we're not having that space. So that's why this guy, this former City player, Luis, that Brazilian with the
Douglas Luiz, yeah,
he had taken control. So we're not having much. So Bruno's smartness, or let me say intelligence, got us that penalty. Because he was smart to get the penalty for us. Because it was very difficult. But like Mohin said, we had players who could play on the counter. Like Kesh also said something. Now, initially, Manchester was called a counter-attacking team. But now we can vary how we want to attack. If you say you want to sit and the low block, you want to set up a low block against us, we can have a way of coming at you. If you open up, then you are doomed.
It's finished.
You are doomed because we can kill you. That's why I think a lot of teams will be afraid of Manchester now, because if you sit the low block, we can find spaces to score because we have players who are smart enough to make opportunity for us to score. Like Greenwood, if you give Greenwood that chance, that open space you give him, he will score.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I
Sorry,
his first shot, he had the first shot on his left foot. The space wasn't enough. I think he had a badge from I think it was Maggins or so. Somebody badged him, but the shot wasn't that neat. And I said, hey, these people, if they give him another chance, he will shoot. Because Greenwood, if you give him the slightest of chance, his shot is always straight into the net. So it was a professional performance. But I think we're a little bit lethargic in the first 25 minutes. Then I think the goal just brought the spark. That was it. Then the Villa had to open up. And when they open up, if you open up for Manchester, then you are doomed. They will just kill you quick.
I think the point that I've taken from that is, and it's probably one of the big sort of indications of change, is that fear factor. You know, on so many occasions in the last 7 years, again, I'm not going to get carried away here with Oli, but just like I can remember so many, even under Moyes, under Van Gaal, and after the games when a lower team with all due respect, like a Burnley, for example, or West Brom or whoever it may be, have got a result against Man United, they're interviewing them players, and their players are saying, we're not scared to come to Old Trafford. Well, they're damn right scared now because they know if they sit back, they're going to get broken down by Bruno. And like Sheffield United, I think they came to Old Trafford to try to play their expansive football, and we literally picked them apart at absolute will. So I think that's the biggest change for me. Of course, you know, the whole sort of in terms of Bruno Pogba link up is fantastic, but it's just that cultural difference now, and the mentality in the opposition. Obviously, Vieira, Scholes, and all these people used to say sometimes when you're in the changing room or in the tunnel, you already won the game. They're already scared, and I feel like we're starting to build that back. Kiss, let's talk about some of the individual performance. Obviously, there was some stand-up performance, and we'll obviously talk about them briefly. But I want to talk about Bruno Fernandes's performance yesterday, and most importantly, his role in the penalty. Firstly, obviously, you can talk about his performance, but do you actually think it was a penalty?
Honestly, no. Honestly, I never in a million years. I don't know. Sometimes I think, what are these guys doing? Like Mourinho was right. He was like, what? Where are these guys? Like the VAR people. What exactly are they looking at? But look, United's my team, and at the end of the day, a penalty is a penalty, and I kind of liked it. But if I'm going to be totally honest, it was never in a million years a penalty. I kind of agreed with the commentators at the time. I think Evra said it. It was, if anything, it was a foul on.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah,
I think Constance, I think his name is.
That's it. Yeah, he stepped on his. He stepped on just below his shin. So I mean, that's going to be painful as it is. So definitely wasn't a penalty. He's kind of won it. You know, kind of theatrically won it, if you like. But he's smart and he's clever. He knew he had to get there. And he knew if I put my foot on the ball and he's going to come barging into me, there's going to, you know, it's creating that doubt or creating a situation where you have to make the referee or VAR in this case make a decision. So not a penalty, but happy days, man. Like, we can't complain, but definitely not a penalty, man.
Sorry, good. I was just about to say, just on that, I've just got a notification on WhatsApp from, I think he spotted Spurs or something, or Chelsea, and it just popped up saying, in quotation marks, "Man United dodgy decisions are back." Rival fans, they're not happy, Kish. They're not happy.
Yeah, I think our FA fund where we give him, that's open back up again. We give him
Howard Webb's there, mate. Howard Webb. I think it was Howard Webb's involved. That's what it was out.
Do you know what? Can I just touch on Bruno for a second as well? He actually, in my opinion, he actually didn't have a great first half. Up until that moment, I thought he was quite... something didn't go his way in the first couple of minutes of the game. I don't know what it was. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I heard him. He was talking a lot to the ref. He seemed a bit kind of maybe agitated or frustrated. And so I thought in the first 30 minutes, he wasn't actually great. But with that kind of, when he won the penalty, things changed from there. But I suppose everyone has off days.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I don't think Bruno had a good game, and also agree I don't think it was a penalty. But Mini, what are your thoughts? Did you think it was a penalty, and what was your overall opinion on Bruno's performance yesterday?
I thought it wasn't a penalty. I thought it was a foul on him, and like you said, with Bruno, I disagree. I think he had a good game. I think he was on the left-hand side sometimes. He was on the right-hand side sometimes. And his assist to Pogba was just amazing to see, because we haven't seen a unorthodox free kick taker or a corner taker. We usually just put it in the box, hope for the best. I think just like remember if you Liverpool scored a free kick with Salah passing it, back heeling it to Trent against Chelsea, and all these tricky free kicks and sport takings that United never seem to do. So seeing that and seeing their connection and him knowing that he was going to pass outside the box was just good to see that we've been practicing something different. And Bruno kind of reminds me of Ander Herrera in terms of his mind and his, I wouldn't say his dodginess. And because
he was dodgy getting that penalty, to be fair. Shithousery, so to speak.
Yeah, shithousery. He knows how to get stuff done, but his attacking play is a bit like Mata or De Bruyne, where he could just find something out of nothing. Yeah. So I think it's good to see.
He's tenacious as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I think De Bruyne is a bit more like a robot. You need to make a system for him, whereas Bruno, you don't need to make a system for him or tell him to do specific things. You just let him play his football in the final third. I think, but he had a good game.
Yeah, I don't agree he had a good game. However, regarding that corner and just the bromance between him and Pogba, it's just, I've got tears in my eyes thinking about it. About time! Finally! I think the last time Manib actually regarding the set piece was Daley Blind. I don't know if you remember his set. I can't remember what team it was against, but somebody played to the edge of box and he passed it into the net.
Liverpool. It was against Liverpool.
Yeah. It might have been Liverpool, yeah, actually. Yeah, I should probably remember it was. But yeah, he literally just passed it in from the edge of the box. It's similar to Pogba. It went straight to the top corner. Jem, we'll come to you, obviously. Well, it's quite clear you don't think it's a penalty as well, given your body language. But regarding Bruno, and I suppose you could put Pogba in there, what are your thoughts of them two and the sort of the bromance, so to speak?
That's the dream midfield that everybody was looking for, and it's actually working. But I think yesterday Bruno had, like you said, he had a very quiet game. He wasn't up to the standard that we normally thought he would be. But I think he was complaining a lot because I think Moyes is a poor referee. He's a very poor referee. He's not that good. So I think there were a lot of infringements against United that he was not calling for. And he was giving a lot of free infringements to Villa. That's why Bruno was complaining. But he was, like I said, Bruno was very smart to get that penalty for us. By his total game, I'll give him maybe a 6 over 10. It was a good performance. Not okay to the standard that we think Bruno is, but he has been doing well. And also about him and Pogba, I watched the game again, and if you watch the
goal,
yeah,
there was something you can see that it has been worked at the training camp, because initially, if you look, Pogba looked like he wasn't interested.
Yeah.
Then you see Green was with one defender. He put a defender. Then I think there was Rashford and this Marshall. So they put a defender. Then he passed the ball. But Pogba first touch wasn't good. But Pogba is a smart player. So he
was laying it up, I think.
Come again?
I thought he was laying it up for a shot there because he had the space.
Yeah, but his first touch was very poor.
It was.
Sure it was very poor. So he was smart enough to use Mintz and Grealish as a shield. Then just chip the ball. It was a really. I liked it. I like those kind of goals. You see, it's like it seems like there's something being worked out at the training grounds that is being practiced on the field of play. You can see that the coach is working. Because I remember always people say that Oli is a PE teacher. He's a PE teacher, but now
what's wrong with those PE teachers, man?
Now you can see that something is really being done on the field at training grounds. Something is really being done. Because now you can see that Marshall yesterday. I was really impressed with Marshall. He saw that play. He was very strong, and I saw that anger in him. Like right now, Marshall is a proper number 9 who has the anger for goals. Because yesterday, I remember he had a left shot. That shot hit the crossbar. It would have been a
crazy.
Goal. Oh, now I'm really impressed. I'm happy about United. You see,
I can see your face, Jeff. I can see it.
Yeah.
It's good to see, man. It's good to see. You've spoken about Pogba briefly, and obviously, I think prior to the game, it might have been in the morning that there was an interview released from Pogba from Man United. Of course, we wanted to continue to the positivity and all that stuff. I just want to touch upon some of his comments, and I think the thing that I took most from it again, I'm not quoting him word for word here, but was what he said regarding mentality. So he said something along the lines of Marcel bagged the hat-trick against Sheffield United, but that doesn't matter now what you can do in the next game. And he just kept referring to the next game rather than resting on what they've done. It kind of comes back to my personal opinion. I've said this on a couple of videos now. Are we on a 17 unbeaten now, I think, or wherever it may be? I think it's 17. I've lost count. Obviously, Arsenal fans can't say that. But no, but regarding the unbeaten streak, and I think Pogba said it as well after the game as well when they interviewed him, it doesn't mean anything because we've not won the league, we've not won a trophy, and obviously our goal is to get top 4 this season, and we're not even achieved that currently. So, even if we were to lose our next game against Southampton, all of this would be for nothing. And we don't get a trophy for going 17 unbeaten. So at the end of the day, I think that mentality is important. On top of that, it does look like he might be signing a contract. So not only his mentality, Kish, but the fact that we are signing Paul Pogba, let's just, not shy away from how big of a thing it is. What are your thoughts on that whole situation?
Yeah, so I listened very closely to that bit of the interview. That was after the game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The interview.
Yeah, yesterday, that's right.
He's smart. Pogba's smart. So first of all, the mentality bit, absolutely agree with. Right, that's something that he's obviously said after the game, and it seems like it's instilled within him, and it looks like it's instilled within the rest of the squad as well. Like kind of that kind of never give up attitude, if you like. One thing I wanted to touch on is he did get asked about whether he'll stay at the club. And he gave a politician answer, right? Which was very smart of him. Very, very clever, right? But if you don't know how to read between the lines, you'd probably just sit there and think, okay, he's waffling. But I kind of read between the lines, and he didn't commit to us. He didn't commit his future to us. There are all these reports now that he's happy, and he does look happy. Don't get me wrong. He looks fantastic playing with Bruno. But me personally, I'll just want him to come out and say, you know what, I'm here. I'm here to stay for a couple of years. He's probably not going to do that, right? That's entirely up to him. But as a United fan, right, and as someone I understand his importance to our team. Look, I'm not one of these guys that hate on Pogba and disregard his quality, because the guy is a top quality player. He's a world class midfielder, but sometimes I just want to kind of grab him by the scruff and just say, listen, brother, commit.
Come on. I know, man.
Come on. Just say, look, I'm United. That's what I want from him.
He's scared of commitment, Kish. He's scared of commitment, bro.
I know, man. Most men are, aren't we? Most men are.
And he needs to put a ring on it, man. When's he playing that?
Yeah, that's it, man. Do you know what? I love Pogba, right? I love him. I've loved him since he played at Juve, even when he was with us as well. A great player. I just want him to commit his future to the club, or even the next couple of years, and say, look, I'm a United boy, and I want to take this team from where we are now to the top, basically. But we don't know, man. Still another guessing game, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, of course, obviously we all want Pogba to come and say, look, I want to be at this club for the rest of my life, yada, yada, yada. But Mani, what do you think the club needs to do to actually convince him to take that step and to actually commit his future to the club long term?
I think they need to show that they are ready to do what they said when they signed him in the first place, which is build a team, not specifically around him, but build a team so that he's able to perform himself. We saw in the first year when he came, we had Zlatan coming in. He was a big, kind of like a big brother to him. He took over that role of being the captain for the team. And Pogba liked being with him, even though we had Rooney and Lindelof came after. We had De Gea there already. So we had players who were around Pogba in the first place and first year, and then we won 2 trophies. And I think it was a great season for Pogba then, and he played very well. I think we just need to make sure that we show him that we are showing ambition to win titles, which is, I think, fair for him, because otherwise he could just ship off to Madrid or Juve. I like that he's pushing the club to make changes rather than just letting them do what they want. I kind of like the fact that he's not signing a contract until we secure a Champions League place, because I wouldn't want to be there if we're just hoping for a Champions League rather than be actually in it. So, and with him not signing, it pushes the club to get Sancho or get it over the line, get Bruno, and get other players which show that we actually do want to win the league rather than just talk about winning the league. So I think I like that he's pushing the club, and I'd be happy for him to stay. I don't think anyone wants him to leave, but we just need to see what happens in the Europa League and with the top four.
I think you made a couple of interesting points there regarding obviously his personal aspirations to win thing, and I think you've got to respect someone who's got that level of ambition. It kind of reminds me. I know it's not the same, but it does kind of remind me of Van Persie's situation leaving Arsenal. After all these years, Van Persie's coming on, I think a lot of Arsenal fans have finally seen the light. He came out and kind of questioned the sort of aspirations of the club, and I feel like Pogba's kind of doing that in a different way. Obviously, he's doing it in more respectful manner because, of course, he does have respect for Oli, etc. But I do agree he is trying to push the club into the right direction. I think a lot of fans need to open the eyes to that and see that he does have the best intentions of the club at heart, although he might be going in the wrong way, especially Raiola. He's definitely going about the wrong way. But Jem, I think just on the other side, before we laud Pogba for everything that he's done so far in this, since his return, what about the fans that are saying, well, Pogba was part of the problem in terms of his inconsistency? Why do we always have to build a team around him if he's a world-class player? Shouldn't he be consistent week in, week out?
So one thing about Pogba that people should also get to know is that at Juve, he had, like what Kish said, he had players who were top-notch and who were doing their work for him, and the pressure was not on Pogba. If you listen to the interview that he made with Manchester TV, he said that he likes sitting at the back, watching the players. He enjoys it. That's what he wants. The pressure is off him because Bruno is there. And then now everybody is performing. So there's no much pressure. But you see, Pogba had this new haircut with Black Lives Matter. Nobody noticed that. But if we had lost, they were not doing well.
Well, they would have been killing him for dancing,
talking about it. Yeah. He was dancing at the dressing room because now we are doing well. So the pressure is off him. And you need good players to do well. If you are playing with Lingard, Pereira, I'm sorry, but
Lingard's a bowler, man. Don't disrespect him.
if you are Messi, you cannot survive.
Yeah, Messi Lingard, man. Come on, get with the program.
A high-end fashion designer.
That's better than that.
So it's important you have quality. Like I like what Moin said. Like you see, Pogba. I know Pogba will sign. That one is. I can assure you that he will sign. He will stay.
Jam's got contacts, you know.
Yeah. When Jam's going to sign, I don't know. I feel confident now. I feel that he's going to sign.
As of now, nobody can pay the 120 million that United wants. Nobody can pay. So he will sign. I'm sure he'll take some around 350 as the same as compared to De Gea. He might take 350. It's just money. He will sign, and he will sign at the end. When the season ends, definitely we'll get the champion. I'm saying that by Monday, we'll qualify for Champions League because City will be banned. So
yes, Jim.
We must have, like you said, the question is ambition. Now you can see that the atmosphere at United has changed as compared to when Jose was there, because the atmosphere was very toxic. But now you see that everybody is playing, like there's a lot of laughter. If you watch the pictures that are coming out, like there's excitement and happiness in the team now. Unlike when Jose was there. It was terrible.
Let's not talk about
even Dan James is dancing.
Even Dan James
is dancing.
Dan James, I thought it looked sharp. I was just gonna add to that. Obviously, you made a few points that I picked out was regarding the sort of relinquish of pressure onto other players. Like obviously that Bruno's coming and he's taken that, obviously Martial, etc. The burden seems to definitely be shared. We've got so many different avenues of goals now, which is not something that we've affiliated with the club. I think in terms of yesterday, as I saw an outlook of the overall scheme of things, I think that was a good representation of that. Like we said, Bruno wasn't fantastic, but it didn't matter because Pogba stepped up. You had Martial for me again, who was absolutely fantastic. I thought Rashford had a good game that we'll touch upon shortly. And the other players kind of, like Wan-Bissaka for me had a terrible game yesterday. But then Luke Shaw stepped up. So that's what a team's about. You don't just rely on your one or two players. There's so many match winners in that team now. And let's talk about the front three. Because, we can't do a show and not talk about all front three. Obviously, everyone's going to talk about Greenwood. But I want to start with Rashford first and foremost. For me personally, he should have had 2 assists yesterday, actually. Martial has to have scored. I think that's. I think when Martial looks back on that, he's going to be disappointed with himself. And of course, I think it was Wan-Bissaka that missed the resulting cross.
Yep.
Yeah, it was Wan-Bissaka who missed the opener. Obviously, as we know, he definitely should have scored that. Kish, we'll come to you first. Rashford, do you think he's starting to build his confidence back up, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So he is building his confidence back up. I think obviously we've always got to remember that he came back from a pretty bad injury. It's a back injury. I'm not too familiar with the science behind it, but it's quite a bad injury. Before that, he was doing bits, man. He was running riot in the Premier League. I still think it's going to take him a couple of games to get back into the swing of things. Yesterday, he sticks too much on that flank, right? Sometimes I don't mind it. It gives us a lot of width, right? But sometimes I would like to see him just maybe about 5 yards away from that flank, right? So just in the middle of the touchline and the penalty box.
Left forward position.
Yeah, that left forward position.
Yeah.
And kind of, I know I hate the scumbags, but look, Mane plays that kind of role very, very well.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
He needs to take inspiration from players like that. See what the kind of movements they make, because he's got the quality. He's got the quality to deliver. He's got the quality to get past players. He's got the quality to finish. So just a little tactical change. This is what I personally felt yesterday, that would push him up a bit more, because he was playing quite deep yesterday as well. So that's one thing I definitely changed. I think he had a good game yesterday. It was nothing spectacular, but I think it was a professional display, good game. I would also say that now I think I think Ollie has taken maybe some of the goal scoring onus off of him, and now what we see is our two best finishers. The onus is kind of on them now. I mean, well, Martial definitely, the onus is on him too, because he's our number 9. But I would personally say, from what I'm seeing, Greenwood looks like a better clinical finisher than Rashford does. So,
Jam doesn't agree with that.
But
no, I do.
I think in terms of spectacular goals, Rashford's your man, right? Cutting in from the left, free kicks, that kind of goal. But I think, in the box, in the penalty area, Fox in the box, or even just around the box, I think Mason's looking to be our next guy, man, our next clinical finisher. So there might be more of a playmaking role for Rashford, maybe, or he needs to get himself in those areas where he's actually going to be able to affect the game by actually scoring a lot more as well, rather than sitting deep. He sat quite deep yesterday. So just like to see him push up a bit more, basically.
I feel like you kind of describe Wayne Rooney in an extent that, the way you were describing his role in the team. Obviously, I know they're not nowhere near the same player, but just the way you described he was kind of not the focal point anymore, but Rooney was the supplier to an extent. But I think for Rashford personally, from my personal perspective, is he was getting more joy when he was playing very close to Martial. Obviously, he needs to give us width, etc. But sometimes when you've got the likes of Luke Shaw, especially yesterday, that is willing to overlap you consistently, he can get away with playing closer to Martial and get those 1-2s off as well, which was where he's in more of an area to actually cause other team problems. But Mini, what were your thoughts on Rashford's performance? Do you think he's starting to find his feet again after that long-term injury?
Just to touch, yeah, I do think, but I think Kush made a point that he was playing too far out on the left, and I think it's maybe because he's not confident directly facing the goal, even though he's not a striker. I think there's a worry that if I'm facing the goal, I'll have to shoot. So I might as well just stay out on the left. I don't have to shoot. I don't have to really get the ball as much as a centre forward would. I think he did kind of score a goal, but it was ruled out offside because of Pogba. So I think he's going to find some confidence off that. And with him not being the focal point of the team, I think it's good for others as well, because he's a threat that could be just not highlighted by the opponent as much as the other two, Greenwood and Martial. So if they're having an off game, Rashford could just shoot from 25 yards out, score a goal. Opponent doesn't realise that he's conceded a goal. And I think Rashford is, I think Greenwood is what people thought Rashford was going to be in terms of being the star point with the technical ability that he has,
Well,
potentially.
Vinny, sorry to interrupt you, but we've got to remember when Rashford burst onto the scene, he was doing what Greenwood was doing. I think let's not forget that Rashford scored every debut that he had for literally
I agree,
6, even
but
England debut as well, bear in mind.
Yeah.
I think Rashford wasn't talked about as much or hyped as much in the academy as much as Greenwood was.
Yeah,
So I think
I
you
agree
have
with
to look
that.
at that as well. In every stage that Greenwood has come through, he's been outscoring everyone else. So I think you have to look at the hype that is behind Greenwood. I think Rashford, even his chance in his debut was because of injuries of other people. I'm not saying we should not have Rashford in our team. I think he should be a starter unless we get someone much better than him. And he's still young, 22, I think he is, 23. And he's won a couple of trophies already, scoring the winners and in the semi-finals as well. So I think he's done very well so far in his career. But I think he needs to improve on ability to do much more in the game.
Right, that's an interesting standpoint. I've got to be honest. I don't agree that he's not as. I feel like you've been a bit harsh on him. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like the way you've spoken about him, like he's basically Dan James or something. With all due respect, with all due respect to Dan James.
No. You're
No,
disrespecting Dan James, who's the highest assister in the Premier League with 6.
I know it's mad that I think Bruno might be level with him now. Actually, I might have overtaken him by one.
I think
I
it's
can't, I
level
think
one.
they're level. I think they're 6-6. I think if I'm not
6-7.
mistaken.
Yeah,
Something like that. But
Best assist was against Liverpool.
Yeah, I'll get to it. Rashford scored, innit?
Yeah.
I do feel like with Rashford, and for me personally, I criticised him a lot last season prior to this season because of his decision making. I think he's improved massively, and I think that injury has set him back. Because I think if you obviously YouTube highlights will make anyone look good, but just to remind yourself, if you actually look at his performances prior to his injury, he was absolutely unplayable, like genuinely unplayable. Like he was doing flip flaps galore. Man, it was a reincarnation of Ronaldinho at one point. The way he was destroying defenders. Obviously, I'm getting carried away there. But Jem, what your thoughts on Rashford? Do you think it's not reactionary, but I think people kind of forgetting the capabilities he has when he's full of confidence?
But I think you see one thing I've noticed about Rashford since he returned from his injuries, his passing has really improved. And
Yeah, he has.
I think Oli has taken that like he's no more the focal point. He's playing like you said, like a Wayne Rooney, that playmaking, like a playmaker. Because now you can see his passing, those long balls and the through balls, and he's making a lot of assists. And I think he now has a lot of confidence now because I was just watching the game, and you can see that he's making those moves to score goals. But just that his goals are not coming. If I not been Pogba had interrupted in that goal, it would have been a very nice goal. Understand? And I think he needs to work on his 1v1.
Yeah.
I don't know why. 1v1.
Yeah. I think that's a confidence thing.
He doesn't score a lot of 1v1. If that chance he had been Martial would have scored. And like you rightly said, he's not a clinical finisher as Greenwood. And I think Oli has taken the burden off him and is now on to Martial, because yesterday, if you realize, when Martial had the ball, I think Martial was going to shoot. But I just, Greenwood gave him a sign. He passed the ball to him. And they know that if Greenwood gets the ball, he will score.
That's trust in it from the team, and you know you're passing him.
He will score. And it's very good that our the front three, they can rotate. Because if you realize, I think in the Brighton game or so, one of those games, if it's not happening for Rashford on the left, he rotates. Then Martial will go to the left. He comes to the middle. Then Greenwood will also be there, or Greenwood will come into the middle and he comes to the right. They keep on rotating. And it's very good. It makes our attack more fluid. Like initially, where it was so static. Like you have Dan James cannot really do that way. Dan James.
I think Dan James was right when he came on.
It was okay. It was okay, but you see, what Greenwood will give you, Dan James cannot give you that.
Oh yeah, obviously not.
I just want to add to Jem's point there about Rashford not being a focal point, and kind of what you said, Usmaan, about how Rashford reminds you of that Rooney role, and it got me actually thinking when you said that. I want Rashford, and I'm not comparing him at all before all the boo boys start jumping on me. Right?
We're not doing that at all.
Yeah, but Rashford, right? I want him to play like how Ronaldo did for us. Right, so on that left flank, running that play. Yesterday, there were times he had about a couple of yards in front of him, and the defender's there. And I'm screaming at him, run at him, have the confidence, because he can beat a man. Let's face it, right? He can skin a man, right? And I think Rashford is, like as you guys said before, he's a big confidence player. He's probably some of it's been knocked out of him because of the injury, and he's still getting back to full match fitness or whatever it may be. But yeah, at times yesterday I was like, Rashford, go on, run at him, man, because these they'll be terrified. You got Marcus Rashford running at you with the pace he's got skills. Another thing I wanted to mention as well is yesterday I agree about his passing and his decision making's got better. I think he was in the box and he stopped the ball, he flipped it about a bit, and then he just kind of backheeled it to Luke Shaw. I've taken the piss. And if Luke Shaw had a better delivery, it could have led to a goal. And I was really pleased with stuff like that. But I think, he just sometimes needs to bite the bullet and just be like, right, I'm just going to run at this guy. I'm going to run at him. Because that's what Ronaldo used to do. Just charge at these guys, man.
But I think he will get back to the way that we saw him before the injury.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say as
well. He'll get there. I think he needs a lot of goals. That's why now, yesterday when Bruno left, he wanted to play the free kick. Those things, he just needs to score. Now Martial has that confidence that if he gets the ball, Martial can score. So like Rashford just needs, I think, a goal or two to build his confidence, because the last goal he scored was a penalty. A normal goal, a proper goal, then that will give him that much confidence. Because now if you look at our front three, I think Martial has more confidence that he can score than Rashford, because he's not scoring. But I think if he has scored yesterday, that goal that Pogba denied him, I'm telling you,
I'm not gonna lie, Jim. I think Reina was definitely saving that. I've got to be honest. But regardless of that, I honestly completely agree with you, Kish. I was watching the game and I was like, just do him, because I know you're capable of getting it. And we've seen that with other players at Man United, especially under Jose Mourinho, when they were a breadth of confidence. Rashford was one of them, and Martial kind of was doing similar things, not running at his players, and then you would see phases where Martial was running at his players. And I think it does come. Obviously, it's so easy to say, but especially with Rashford, it is a confidence thing. And if you look at his body language during the game, he scored that goal, obviously the one that Jem's referred to, and straight away by his body language, you can tell he's like, for fuck's sake, like, do you know what I mean? Obviously, because he's offside. And even when he took that free kick right at the end of the game, he hit it quite far over, and Pogba straight away consoled him. Because Pogba knows what going on. He knows that, look, this guy's, put your arm around him. I'm assuming he probably said it's not a big deal, like, it's fine, innit? Do you know what I mean? And I kind of like the fact that the other players around him are seeing that in him, and they're trying to pick him up as well. That obviously, shows the camaraderie as well in the team. Obviously, we've got to talk about the other two frontmen. We've spoken a lot about Rashford there. What do I say about this guy, Agreements? Well, I just don't know. I don't know where to start. Some people, obviously, some other United fans on the other social media platforms are saying he's the best teenager about. Obviously, I'm not going to go out and say that because I don't watch enough of the league to go and make that statement. But Minnie, will come to you first, mate. Greenwood, talk to me.
Talk to me. I think he should. Unpopular opinion, here it is. He should get the number 7.
I don't think that's that unpopular, but I wouldn't personally give it to him.
Even if Sancho comes in, I think we've seen how many times number 7 has failed in the past 10 years. I don't think United should spend all that money just to put pressure on Sancho to perform under number 7. So I think we should give it to Greenwood. I think he's earned it as well, which I don't think Sancho has yet. But I think
Sancho's not even at the club yet. He might end up at one of our rivals. That's not.
He's signed. He pre-conditional.
Okay,
he's already put pen to the paper.
Oh, you got contacts like Jem, yeah?
Yeah, man.
He's Greenwood's done amazing so far. What he's done, I think the sky's the limit, like Ollie said. But I think we need to keep the foot on the ground with him and make sure he's just not getting overhyped. Like I said last week, he just needs to do this week in, week out, rest when he should. And also, I think with Ole playing 4 regular teams, for the same starting lineup for the 4 consecutive games, it's good, but it's also negative because it's going to burn out the players. We've seen teams in the past like Jose's Chelsea team. They burnt out after the year. Conte's team, they burnt out after 1 season. Liverpool, I think they are going to burn out unless they make good signings. So I think we do need to rotate as whenever we can. But it's good to see that we have a starting 11 with a player like Greenwood, who's a potential Ballon d'Or winner.
That's obviously a very valid point regarding obviously players getting burnt out. But Kish, can he keep him out of the team? Is it even possible to not put this guy in the starting lineup?
Well, first of all, I can't remember the last time I watched a striker that is so good with both feet. Like, it's ridiculous, man. Like, even yesterday's goal, he pushed it with his. I think he pushed it with his left. So
teed him up south.
Smashed it with his right. I was just like, that's
crazy, man.
Unbelievable. Do you know what? Right, I think we do this a lot in the British media. I don't really know much about other countries' medias and stuff like that, but we do this a lot with the British media. I watched the game with a friend last night, and we both said, he's a United supporter as well, and we both said we don't need to overhype him, similar to what Manib said, right? That we don't want to overhype him. And I really just want them to just stop talking about it, right? Just say
just stop.
Just stop. Just leave the guy.
That's all right.
He's done well. He's done well, and that's it. Let the guy get on with what he's got to do. And I thought Ollie gave a fantastic answer yesterday about where his ceiling is. Well, his ceiling is up to him, and I totally agree with it. Put the onus on Mason Greenwood to say to himself, you know what? I want to reach the top, and it's on me to do it. Obviously, Ollie's going to guide him and stuff like that. And look, I said this before in our group, and I'll say it again. It is not a coincidence that Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford, and Anthony Martial are firing on all cylinders. We have got a top-class manager. We have got a top-class striker as a manager. We've got a world-class manager. But
the boys are going to be happy about that, Gish.
Nah, no. But it's paying dividends, right? Ollie was one of the best strikers known, right? In the last 2 decades, 3 decades, he was one of the top strikers in the Premier League, and it's not a fluke that these boys are scoring goals. They know where to get into positions, and I think Mason Greenwood, what he could improve on, even though he's done fantastically well, and I think this will come maybe if he kind of has a more central role. Is getting positions, and I think Mason Greenwood, what he could improve on, even though he's done fantastically well, and I think this will come maybe if he kind of has a more central role, is getting in the box and scoring a scrappy goal.
He scored one against Sheffield United when we drew 3-3. I think it was the first goal when it was a very scrappy goal.
Yeah. So he could improve on that. I don't think I've seen him score anything but a banger. That's one thing you can improve on. But look, feet on the ground at the moment, right? We've got to nurture him well, make sure he's happy. But he just needs to keep doing what he's doing, man, and enjoying. He looks like he's having fun. He looks like he's going out there and he's having fun, and the rest of the team is having fun, which is important as well, man, because he's young and you don't want to put him off the game or pressure him too much. Just let him, let nature take its course, man. Let him kind of grow naturally, man, rather than just overhyping him as we do with Michael Owen. Look what happened to him, right? Brilliant striker, done within 4 or 5 years. Obviously, Rooney. We don't need to say much about Rooney, do we? He killed it, so.
Jem, obviously, it's regarding Greenwood. I completely agree with Kish in terms of, and obviously many both said it. He needs to stay grounded. I think that's the most important thing, and I do like the fact that Ollie's put it on his doorstep, saying, "Look, at the end of the day, if you want to be the best, this is up to you. You've got to work for it." And you've got the abilities, obviously in the past people talk about Ravel Morrison and the ability that he had. I'm not saying Greenwood's going to go down that route, but what I'm saying is, he had the sky was the limit for Ravel Morrison. It's all about focus for Greenwood now, isn't it, Jem?
Yes, like you said, it's only like Kish said, only made a right comment yesterday. It's up to Greenwood if he really wants to hit the top. Like I listened to Pogba. Pogba was saying that he will push Greenwood so that Greenwood can get to the top because he can see a lot of potential in the boy. So it's up to him, man. And I like people were saying that he will get bent out. I'm not sure he get bent out. Like we always say, we have a young squad because he has rested him enough. When we started the season, it was difficult. We're not getting a lot of score goals. And Mason will come in 5 minutes, 8 minutes. People were complaining. I remember people were insulting Oli. We need goals. Why are you not bringing the boy? You go and sit at the presser. and say that he's the best finisher you've ever seen. So why do you sit him down? But now we've seen the benefit of resting him because he can play. Yes, he's into. I like how Oli is managing our top three very well. Sorry,
it's man management.
Martial is, Martial can easily get hit. Martial is very important to our tactics. He's very, very. So that's why he takes him off. Yesterday, Martial was annoyed, but he said if Martial.
I love that, by the way.
Yeah, it's same.
I love that because if you see his facial, like he wanted to play, but it wasn't like normally. If like Kate said, during Mourinho's time, you can see that maybe the player is on the field and like he likes to go off because it's not working. But now you can see that Martial is not like that. The coach is the one who's taking him out. It means that he wants you to come and rest. So I'm not sure Greenwood will get burnt out. He only have a way of managing them. Now we have these 5 substitutions, so you can also go about it. So I think Greenwood, the sky is the limit for him. It's up to him if he wants to do well. Because we've seen what's his name? The Wilson, isn't it? Wilson.
Wow, he's at Salford, I think.
Yes, I've never seen a striker. He's a good striker, a better finisher than Rashford. But you see, injuries destroyed his career.
That's the thing, innit?
Giuseppe Rossi was a very technical player, very good striker, but injuries. But even after his injury, he went to Villarreal. He was fantastic there. So I pray that he doesn't get hurt. I heard that he has stopped going out with his girlfriend or something, because he looked like Mason is very, very focused. You can remember when he was getting to the senior team, he had this someone, I think, Snapchat, and he was big daddy, something with a girlfriend, and people were just bunting him. I think Oli has spoken to him, and like Kish said, we have a very world-class striker as a manager, and he can train if he is ready to listen. I like what always Evra says. He should be ready to clean the toilet because he's 18 years. He's a small boy, so you should do that. You learn your trade. Then you go on. So it's up to him. If he humbles himself and listen, you see, remember we've had strikers. Lukaku was not someone who was ready to listen to Oli.
Obviously,
he knew.
Yeah, Lukaku, exactly. That's where it comes down.
But you see, Martial thinks he doesn't know, and Martial believes that if he listens to what Oli is telling him, and you see, when Martial scored these scrappy goals against, I think it was Sheffield, he said that he thinks the manager will like him because those are the goals he has teach them to get. Because I remember we had Tevez, we had Rooney, we had Cristiano Ronaldo. It was only Gunnar Solskjaer who was their striking coach. He was teaching them. He was the coach. Those times, I think he was injured. So Ferguson made him teach them how to score, the act of goal scoring. And you realize that they score a lot of goals. So Oli is good at that. If you only listen to him, you become better. So I'm just glad that Mason is really listening. And the sky, I don't even want the Southgate to call him for the Euros. He shouldn't even go. We should say that he's injured, like Ferguson always does. The player is injured. He will not go anywhere.
I love that, John.
Because he might get tired. He's 18 years.
We definitely need to protect him. I completely agree. Obviously, you've spoken about Martial briefly, and I'll ask you guys, obviously you don't want to go on for too long, but I'll ask you guys who your man of the match was from yesterday. A lot of people from the fan clubs, whether you watched them or not, said that Pogba. We had a couple of Greenwood. I actually gave it to Martial, my man of the match. Obviously, we've not spoken about Martial, but I just thought his unselfishness yesterday. I've been saying this for a long time, and obviously, again, people probably don't agree with this, but he just reminds me of Benzema. Just the way he played. Obviously, maybe not, because Benzema kind of has gone into the limelight a lot more, and deservedly so. But it's just obvious, and it's not to do with his friends. It's just his unselfishness to the game, to the overall team. You know, his movement that he makes off the ball, dragging the defenders. Of course, everyone's going to talk about that incident with Mings when he absolutely told man to go back to the weight room and just bullied him. And then obviously got the assist for the goal. But and also just to echo Kish, I was pissed off when he got off as well because I've got him in fantasy football, so I need him to score. So I was like,
he was my captain. He's my bloody captain.
Oh my God, you're my league as well. Actually, I see you do a captain. I was like, yo, bloody, I need the points. But so I was feeling his anger. But yeah, I just want to quickly talk about Martial, and then we'll wrap it up there. Of course, we can talk about Oli another time. Kish, we'll come to you first and foremost. What were your thoughts?
Martial, brilliant, man. So unselfish. He's a times 10 better than Firmino. right? Everyone licks Firmino's ass, right?
That's exactly what I've been saying.
He's so, but Martial is Firmino and so much more. Yeah, he does the same link-up stuff that Firmino does, if not better. And he's a fox in the box. He can run at players. He can finish. The guy is just he's everything.
But Kish, sorry to interrupt you, bro.
Yeah.
But the problem is Martial's not a defensive striker though, so can't be as good as Firmino, can he?
Say that again. He's not
a defensive striker like Firmino. Come on, man. It's like
when he first came to the club and he scored that first goal against Liverpool, and I thought, wow, like this kid's going to be great. And you see him play, and I realised his potential. And now I think just this year he's everything that he should be and could have been at this moment in time. Well, don't get me wrong, there's so much room for improvement, but he's so unselfish. And do you know what worries me a lot, right? And now I'm actually less worried about it. It was his physical strength, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't worry me anymore, right? But it used to be a thing for me because when we'd come up against a Burnley or or an Aston Villa or whatever, a Sheffield, I'd think to myself, is he going to be okay? With these kind of games where you have to be a bit aggressive and you have to kind of barge people around. And the kid's strong, man. The kid's a strong boy, man. So fair play to him. And I think, me and my friend discussed this yesterday as well. I think the removal of Lukaku, see you later, Romelu, goodbye. You can take that dead first touch somewhere else, right? And Oli gave him that number 9 shirt. And as soon as that number 9 shirt was on his back, that was the pivotal changing point, because Martial knew, he goes, you know what, I'm the man now. And that's all he needed. Yeah, Jose, with his stupidness, I don't know what kind of man management he was doing, but that's all he needed. He needed someone to say, look, Tony, you're the main man now. Go out there and prove what you can do. And you know what? Long may it continue, man. Absolutely long may it continue, because he's a brilliant player. And he won't get the round of applause from all these Sky Sports pundits, right?
There's no British.
Yeah, but he should. He should get these pundits. He's a selfless player, and he's just so saucy, man. Like, he's just silky, saucy, a lot, man. But he's just brilliant, man. He's a brilliant player, and I hope he gets better and better and better, because he deserves it, man. He absolutely deserves it, and he's a humble guy as well, man. I love that as well. Humble guy, proper good geezer.
I think Kish likes Martial. I don't know what gives that.
He loves it. He loves it.
Man.
Yeah, honestly, God. Yeah, he's an absolute flipping baller. But I think the turning point definitely was the fact that he got his number 9 shirt back, and Oli instilled that confidence in him. Of course, as a striker, well, not me, but as a striker, I would assume that a manager having that faith in you, saying you're the main man. He sold a 75 million striker as well, who did actually do quite well in terms of statistically. And he put a lot of confidence in it, and we've seen the benefits of that. Manib, thoughts on Martial quickly?
Kish made a great point on him getting his number 9 back. I remember a few days ago, everyone said about Jose giving the number 9 to Zlatan when he came in, and Martial got pissed off. Yeah. And in my opinion, you shouldn't be, because he's just playing in the team. But I like the fact that he has the arrogance to say that, no, I should be the number 9. I should be the main guy. That's what you need to play for a club like United, a club like Real Madrid, a club like Bayern or Barca. You need to have the arrogance to say that I'm going to be the main man. You look at Ramos, he's so confident when he plays. You can't get anywhere near it. Anyone that disrespects him or Madrid on a pitch, he shows them how it's done. I think that's what Martial's going to do.
Hashtag Salah, innit? Obviously, Mohamed Salah and all that.
Absolutely. So I think it's great to have a person who demands so much from players around him. Like we saw him shouting at Pereira a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Shout out Bruno yesterday, to be fair. When Bruno played that ball around the corner.
It's true.
He was fuming with him, which I loved.
Bruno. He was telling Bruno, why did you pass the ball this way?
So it's good.
Pissed off coming off yesterday when he came off after winning 3-0. He's pissed off. And I can't remember who made a great point saying that when a game finishes 1-0, a goalkeeper is happier than if it finishes 5-1. So even though your team has won by a great margin, you're still pissed off that you didn't get the goal that you set out to do, which was either to get a clean sheet or get goal or get tackle, whatever. I think it's great to see someone with the arrogance and ego to say that I should be the main guy, and he looks to be relishing in that area.
Absolutely, I completely agree with that. Again, obviously, him having that arrogance is important, and especially in that role. You got to have that self belief as well, especially at a club at United. Jem, just to finish off, thoughts on Martial, mate?
Oh, like Kish said, when Martial came the first game, I never knew. I've watched him once against, or I think Monaco versus Arsenal, and I said, this guy is a good guy. He's a good player. Then when I heard that Van Gaal wanted 15 million, I said, hey, we're paying 15 million for a 18-year-old player. Then the first game that this boy can play. That's what Peter Bruce said. I said, wow. So I like Martial, but just that I think Mourinho decided to put him on the left wing. And when the jersey, normally like what Mourinho said, you don't need to complain about the jersey number, but you see, some people have this mentality in their head that this is mine and I'm supposed to play this position. But I think we changed him and his mind got twisted a little bit, but now only had confidence in him that I want you to play as number 9. So give me the goals. And he's doing that. So I'm really happy. Like Kay said, previous people thought Martial was not strong. Myself, I thought he was weak physically. But yesterday, what he did to me, no.
He's having that.
I said, wow. You see, all of a sudden, Martial has changed. His mentality, his way of playing, his whole that play, his back to the pole. Everything about Martial has changed. Now he's not developing into a typical number 9. Like Kish said, he's like Benzema to me. That's how Benzema is. And I think that's the reason why maybe he might be called back to the French national team because nobody.
He should be, man.
He definitely should be.
In the French team, the person who plays like Benzema in the side of Deschamps is Olivier Giroud.
Yeah,
but,
who?
Giroud. Olivier. That's why. That's what they keep calling him.
Get Giroud out of there. Put Martial in that.
But now Martial is on top.
Martial and Mbappe.
He has 15 goals in the EPL. Where is Olivier Giroud? He's a bench warmer. They only bring him when they need him.
He's a model, man. He's a model.
I know he needs to retire and go to modeling, man. He needs to just stick to that.
So I just
he's doing well nowadays.
I just pray that Martial will be fit because the always issue about him is about his fitness. If he's fit, he's a clinical finisher. He's the best finisher than Rashford. If he gets the time, he will score. So I'm glad that he has not scored. He has scored only one penalty. I think only one penalty goal this entire season. So it's good. I pray that he keeps on, and I'm sure he will get 25 goals before the season ends.
Okay, I couldn't echo that sentiment more, man. Honestly, God, long may it continue, as Kish said, man. But Laz, I just want to say, absolute pleasure, man. Obviously, I know it's gone longer than we all probably expected, but
no worries.
Just to say, thank you very much for your time. Of course, we will get the boys back on, obviously, in the coming week. Hopefully, with a couple of more positive results. The thing is, we're all Ali in it, so there's no point going raving about Ali. Is there? We'll save that for when we're top 4 come next week.
Absolutely. GGMU, man. Glory, Man United.
Exactly. As always, show the boys some love. Their links will be in the description. Obviously, Kish, you need to send me your details. But the rest of them, make sure you follow them on Twitter. They're absolute legends. Man United fans, obviously, we've got to sit together. Drop a like, subscribe. Apart from that, enjoy the rest of your flipping day. Go United! Go on!
Go United!